After the tragic events of September 11th in the United States, many Americans became curious about Islam. The media had largely portrayed it as a religion of hatred, which led people to want to understand it more deeply. Surprisingly, this curiosity led hundreds of thousands of Americans to discover the true values of Islam, peace, love, and compassion, and embrace it as their faith. According to data from the U.S. Religion Census, between 2000 and 2010, the Muslim population in the United States grew from around 1 million to 2.6 million, a remarkable increase of 67%, making Islam the fastest-growing religion in the country. By 2017, Pew Research estimated the number of Muslims in the U.S. to be about 3.2 million. Among these new Muslims are thousands of American soldiers, some of whom converted to Islam even while serving on the battlefield. In this video, we'll uncover the reasons why a record number of American soldiers are converting to Islam, supported by real testimonies. But first, let's set the scene with some historical context on military leaders. When Western historians mention the greatest military figures, they often highlight names like Napoleon Bonaparte, Julius Caesar, and Alexander the Great. Yet among modern-day military leaders, one name is often mentioned that many in the West may not recognize: Khalid ibn al-Walid. This 7th-century warrior is celebrated for leading the Muslim army to victory in over 50 battles, including the historic Battle of Yarmouk against the Byzantine Empire. John Walter Jandora describes this battle in his book as one of the most pivotal in history. It ended Byzantine rule in Syria and opened doors for the spread of Islam across Central Asia. What's even more fascinating is that Khalid, who once opposed Islam and fought against Prophet Muhammad's followers, later converted after realizing Islam was the true path. Rising to become the Muslim army's commander-in-chief, he helped to unite the Arab world in a way that the Romans, Persians, or Ethiopians had never achieved. Khalid's story reminds us of a U.S. soldier named Terry Holdbrooks, who converted to Islam in 2008. He had joined the military driven by anger against Muslims for September 11th and was stationed at Guantanamo Bay, where he guarded Muslim detainees. But while there, he found Islam by observing the faith and resilience of these prisoners. Islamophobia, or fear of Islam, often comes from misunderstanding. For example, when the War on Terror began, most Americans didn't personally know any Muslims. So, when the media or government portrayed Islam negatively, people believed it without question. This was true for Miles, a former U.S. Marine who converted to Islam after serving in Afghanistan. Like many, he initially viewed Muslims as potential threats. But upon meeting them, he found they were among the most peaceful people he had ever known. His story mirrors countless others of soldiers who, sent to Muslim lands with negative expectations, ended up converting to Islam because they saw firsthand the warmth, kindness, and deep faith of the people.
Well, then another perception is, what, Muslims are terrorists, that sort of deal. Well, people fear what they don't know. The majority of Americans don't have Muslim friends. They don't know anything about Ramadan or Nowruz or praying 5 times a day or whatever. What Americans see is in the news, is in the CNN, and they see, this terrorist attack, this Muslim terrorist attack, this Muslim extremist, this, that, and the other thing. Islam makes up 1 billion people in the world, all right? So, what, 1/7 of the world is Muslim, and you're going to call that entire population terrorists?
This realization that the so-called enemy was actually peaceful has led many American service members to reevaluate their views and embrace Islam, the very faith they had been told was a threat. Stories like these show that sometimes the best way to understand Islam is to see it practiced authentically by real people. In conclusion, we've shared the experiences of American soldiers, but if you search online, you'll find similar stories from British, Australian, and French soldiers who converted to Islam during or after deployments to Muslim countries.